Hello and welcome to update number 3 for my white paper. My name is Becho-Cannon. Welcome. If you are not in my class and are just watching this for pleasure or because I asked you to, then thank you for coming along and joining our adventure here. So today what we will be discussing is digital literacy and answering the question of so what. Not in the sense of, well, what is digital literacy? What is it, the importance of it? Because that is an extremely long discussion that I could personally not answer every single question you have of it, and as well as it would just take way too long, and we don't have a whole month to discuss digital literacy. So in this presentation, it's more of a, so what, Marnie, why are you choosing digital literacy for your white paper? And to answer that question, why digital literacy? Well, this semester we chose a book that we will be doing a book report on, and I chose Understanding and Creating Digital Text and Activity-Based Approach by Beach, Anson, Bruce, and Reynolds. Not Ryan Reynolds, different Reynolds. And so I chose this book because it's a very interesting piece to me based off of what it's teaching and helping teachers that are high school and college professors, and how to help them integrate digital literacies and just really just different digital techniques to introduce into the classroom for their students to better understand digital literacy, because it's such an important part of our learning environment now. It helps with participation. It helps with expanding students' ideas. It also helps students understand the expansion and the importance of literacy and composition in the classroom. You know, that it expands outside the classroom. It goes past just being, okay, well, you need to write this paper so you can pass this class. No, it goes on into your day-to-day life after school. And then just also there's tons of different learning techniques that can be used when you bring in that you can't do with just a lecture or just a PowerPoint. There's more than just a PowerPoint when it comes to, well, what do you mean by digital concepts or digital literacy? Well, it's more than just, doing a research paper or making a presentation with a PowerPoint included. There's so much that goes into it, and this book touches on that. And so that's why I chose, and digital literacy relates to this book. So that's why I've chosen it. So with my research for digital literacy, a new article I found was titled Digital Literacy, a Conceptual Framework for Survival Skills in the Digital Era. And it is by, sorry I'm not beginning my notes, Eschet. And what Eschet is talking about is that he's relating it more to digital literacy overall. Why is it important in day-to-day society? For me, though, my focus is more on education. So you'll notice that, so just keep that in mind when we go through this PowerPoint, that when I'm talking about Eschet's ideas, that I'm looking at it from a teacher standpoint, and okay, how can I relate this to education? But Eschet's taking it a whole new level of, well, everyday society, this is where we use digital literacy. So just keep that in mind, that it can go even broader. His is very broad. I'm going to be narrowing it down based off of what I need it for. So yeah, digital literacy, he sees that it's a very important part of everyday life. It's a great visual learning, and that there's many things from starting out when we're children to video games we play as children, all the way to when we're adults and we're commenting on blogs or videos on YouTube, that we're continually using digital literacy. And the only requirements, kind of the requirements that you need for digital literacy is the skills of cognitive, motor, sociological, and emotional. And we'll be talking more about that as we go along. And you'll see how those kind of relate to the different branches. Now, Eschet says there are 5 different branches to digital literacy, and we'll be going through those. The first branch is photovisual. As is kind of self-explanatory, it's a visual learning. It's what you see with your eyes, what you can see right in front of you. As we've learned, not all students remember things by just listening or listening and taking notes. We have a lot of learners now that need more hands-on, or that need to see things themselves to better understand it. So examples of photo-visual in our digital world is like typing programs. Typing programs help you with learning how to type on the keyboard without having to look down and type with one finger every single. It helps you make it a more fluid system, which is what it's supposed to be. And the typing programs that are online, for example, I took one I think in 3rd or 4th grade. They help you to be able to memorize it with your fingers so that you don't have to look down at the keyboard, which is great, and they're very helpful. And what makes them helpful, though, is that they are a visual learning tool, because it shows you the keys above you on your hands. It shows you, okay, now you see my hands where they are. That's where you put your hands. Now look up and see what I do so that I remain in the keyboard with those normal, where the hands are supposed to stay, but this is how I move my fingers. So you don't look down and do it yourself, but just see it, now feel it, which is a great system. These start at young ages. Photo-visual learning it starts at a young age, especially with children. Computer games, I grew up on them, and I'm sure a lot of other people did, that helped with, that had, storyboards to them, but they were also great with helping with mathematics and history, and writing and different things like that. And photo-visual works well with with children. It's a great learning tool for visual and audio learning, because with a lot of them now, with a lot of the children's computer games, it'll be a story. For example, Jack and Jill went to the grocery store and they wanted to buy these items. Help them buy these items, and it'll tell you, these items. Well, it'll show it to the children on the screen to where they read it, but then it'll also play it out loud so they can hear it as well. So they're, using multiple learning skills right there, which is great. So that's the first one, is photo-visual branch. The second branch is reproduction, which is kind of, self-explanatory. Reproduction, obviously, it's reproducing something, or taking something and bringing it back to light. The debate with reproduction branch is plagiarism, because plagiarism is such a big part of it's such a problem for our students now that they deal with daily, is the idea of, okay, well, I'm going to go find this research, and I'm just going to copy and paste it, and there you go, done. And that's plagiarizing, and that's not okay. And so it's difficult, because with students especially, they kind of lose the idea of authenticity or answering the so what question, and they just kind of see it as, okay, so you want me to find imagery in Frankenstein. Okay, well, here's all this information, here's all these other people and what they say about Frankenstein and imagery, summarized, done. There you go. Well, no. You also have to answer the question, which we bring up in the master's program all the time, is you also have to answer the question, so what? Well, why is this important? Not just, okay, well, here's all this information on imagery and Frankenstein. Okay, well, what's your opinion on it? Why is this important? Why did you do you agree? Do you disagree? And students forget that. And so it's definitely a debate where people are like, well, digital literacy isn't good because all they're doing is copying information, so there's no authenticity anymore. Yes, that's true, but also we can make it better for the students if we find the balance, if we help them find the balance between the originality and answering the question and making them think outside the box and go, okay, well, this is what it's about, this is what they say, and this is what I want to add to the conversation. It's a lot about conversing with other authors, and you're not literally talking to them face to face, but you're writing to them in a way and just adding yourself to the conversation. And so you have to find that balance between finding the information that you need and then also giving your thoughts into the discussion as well. The next branch is called branching. Yay! And so that one's kind of pretty self-explanatory too. It's definitely a visual thing. Examples of branching would be concept maps. Another one is mental models. They're kind of just, it's graphing out your ideas in front of you, though. Because we all have these concept maps or these ideas in our head, and they have all the different branches to them that go to different areas, but the problem is that then we keep them all up in here in our heads. So then, once we get to the paper, we, forget certain things, or it just becomes a jumbled up mess. You want to follow one branch one way, well, then it has this twist and turn, and you get lost and confused, and, oh, well, here's another branch over here, let's try that, wait, what, and that ends up leaving the student confused with, well, I don't even remember anymore where I wanted to go with that, and the teacher's confused too, going, well, I don't know where you're going with that, so that's a C, instead of an A, which is what it could be. So that's kind of the idea of branching is great for students in helping them better understand the material. If they can take their ideas and put them onto the computer into something like a concept map, then they can have all the branches branching out and kind of look at it and see, okay, well, I need this or I don't need that, and just kind of reanalyze everything. I have requirement is organization skills, and I guess, it helps if you have that, but if it's more not a requirement than just a building block, or I guess it's something that you strengthen by using branching, is it helps with your organization, because it helps, there's the whole idea of organized chaos, but when it comes to your thought process and what you put in a paper, organized chaos is never going to help you out at all. So you have to have organization. You have to see where you're wanting to go with it, and you need to be able to visually see it and have it look good. Because though it makes sense in your head, it's not going to make sense in someone else's head if you just go wherever you want to go. The next branch is information literacy. Information literacy is such a huge thing. It's a huge topic in the English department right now. It really is. And information literacy basically it narrows down to what is and isn't important, what is going to be useful, and what is not going to, and what's just going to, pull you down. It's definitely a lot of picking and choosing. You have to decide, okay, what is and isn't important in this paper, Things would be, for example, if you find an article about something, that's going to be great for your paper, but just looking at a blog, or for example, like Wikipedia. A lot of students use Wikipedia, but it's not always a guarantee that it's correct, because anyone can add anything to Wikipedia. A 5th grader can go in and say, dogs are pretty, and it can be added, So, that's why teachers don't want students using certain websites. Like an example of information literacy would be, let's say I'm writing a paper about dogs, and I'm making the argument that dogs get sick from ice cream, so owners shouldn't let their dogs eat ice cream. Well, if I go to this blog and add in my paper, well, this blogger said that they had a dog that got sick from ice cream one day, so obviously dogs get sick from ice cream. Well, that's not a very strong source that I'm providing. It's not strengthening my paper. If anything, it's weakening my paper, because it's not good backup. However, if I found an article about that includes research from a doctor who says that, well, this certain food item, this certain ingredient in ice cream affects this certain organ in a dog, which can cause it to die sooner or something like that, then that has a lot more backup and strengthen the writing and gives me a better oomph in the argument that I'm making compared to a blog. And not saying that all blogs don't work. Sometimes they do. It just depends on what information is given, and so you have to be able to choose. Again, not as much of a requirement. You kind of need it to be able to have good information literacy. You need critical thinking. So using that skill and just kind of looking through and going, okay, I need this, I don't need that, is going to strengthen your critical thinking using information literacy. It's an important part, especially for writing, because you need it to make sense, but you also need it to actually, you need other people's opinions to help strengthen your paper. Because if it's just like, well, this is my opinion, boom, done, they're going to be like, well, okay, but I disagree with that, So you can't just focus on that. The last branch is Socio-Emotional. I think that's the last branch, yeah. Socio-Emotional, Example of this would be a discussion group. Other examples would be chat rooms, learning communities. Socio-Emotional is all about discussion. It's all about the community part that goes into literature and writing and digital literacy, because that is a big part of it. It's not just you doing on your own. Like I said before, writing a paper, you're adding yourself to the conversation. It's not you just saying whatever you want to the world. You're going into a conversation saying, well, I see what you're saying here, this is what I think. It's answering the question, so what? And a lot of that, it focuses on, can I, a lot of that focuses on sharing with other people, making sure, well, does this make sense? Because there might be something that you write and you say, okay, well, this makes perfect sense to me, and you give it to someone else and they say, well, I don't understand what you're talking about here. Or, okay, well, yeah, this is what you mean, right? And you're saying, no, that's not at all. So you need that information to know how other people are reading what you read. Because what you see in your head, obviously, you're going to understand it right away. The difficult part with socio-emotional is there's trust issues. In the article, they talk about more of just like with blogs and chat rooms. If you're going outside the classroom learning environment, it is difficult because you don't know. There could be someone out there that says, well, I'm a doctor with a PhD at Yale or Harvard and blah, 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 blah. And he might just be a 20-year-old living with his parents. Really bad stereotype there. I apologize, but you get my gist. For the education, it's just as difficult because there's a trust issue of how much energy are other students going to put into something like that. If you have a discussion group on a paper and everyone's supposed to read everyone else's papers and give their opinions, that's great. But if you have two students that are giving 100% and the other students are giving like 50%, well, in those 50% students, they're getting tons of information and great stuff that they need from those people that are giving 100%. But then those people that are giving their all to it, they're getting so-so stuff. Maybe just some great jobs and, oh, that was interesting, but that's it, and that's not going to help them at all grow. So it's a definite trust issue, but that's where the teacher comes into play, and that's where the teacher works on strengthening that. And they can use things like branching and information literacy. If teachers can strengthen those in their students, then those students will become more confident in their writing, want to give more to help other people, and just better understand what they're reading. Because another trust issue, excuse me. Yeah, that's all it comes down to. I'm sorry, I was supposed to go somewhere with that, and I completely forgot where I was going, so it doesn't matter. So those are the 5 branches. So what now? Now, my goal is to find the connections. Now it's working on to the final white paper, and so for me, it's just, there's all of this information that comes in, and that was my struggle between update 2 and 3, was that there's so much information on digital literacy. Where do I go with it? What do I do? And with this article, I was able to figure out, okay, let's link it to education. We need to narrow it down. Your book is on, education and how it helps high school and college students. So now I need to take what I've learned, from my sources, and just go with that and strengthen my argument, strengthen what I'm giving to the, and just get the connections and the links together, because it's that simple. But with all the information that's out there, just go to, your local library or to a college library's website and, type in digital literacy, and so many things will pop up in articles. It's scary. It really is. So I make it overwhelming on myself. But anyways, and so that is the end of my presentation. I hope y'all enjoyed. For those that are just listening in because I either asked you to or I posted somewhere you just randomly saw this, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. To my fellow peeps out there in composition theory and pedagogy, thank you, appreciate it. Shout out to Dr. Garza. And yeah, that is my white paper update 3. That was extremely unprofessional at the end, but that's alright. Y'all have a great day.